In a land which boasts incredible biodiversity and a rich and ancient culture, lies a region of rugged geography that has always kept it isolated. These days, a series of roads, motorcycle trails, and walking paths connect the remote villages of the people living in these hills. People with traditions quite different from their lowland neighbors. And it's along these paths and through these hills and villages that we now set out on foot to explore the color, customs, and landscapes to be found in the Chin Hills of Western Myanmar in this episode of Extreme Treks. It's time to step outside, find an unfamiliar trail, and just walk. Over mountains, echoing our footsteps, and it's just wild. Along valleys that lead us deeper. Every day we're getting to see something totally different. Amongst cultures, their color, and customs. So all very fresh and very new. With friends we meet along the way. Weathering the elements that shape all. To look out at the world and find it looking back. Join me, Ryan Pyle, as we embark on a new series of adventures in these Extreme Treks. Rising high into the early morning air, the golden bell-shaped dome of Damayazika Stupa looks out over a vast expanse of floodplains as they answer the call of dawning daylight and begin to stir to life. Emerging from the shroud of night, the scattered remnants of a distant empire reveal themselves. The temples of Bagan in central Myanmar. Structures that have stirred a sense of wonder in many who have come here to marvel at their beauty. And in the cool and still air, a buzz of activity is already taking place. We're here in Bagan and we're just getting ready for our incredible early morning balloon flight. A hot air balloon ride offers a unique perspective on this landscape, and as we rise higher, the tips of temples and stupas begin to poke out above the trees. Soon, the air's alive with balloons all drifting together as the rising sun emerges to dispel an early morning mist, throwing color over the plains, and the sight is spellbinding. The temples still existing today are a fraction of what once stood on these plains. Between the 9th and 13th century, the Bagan kingdom had its capital here, and it was the epicenter of Burmese cultural life and language.
This would have been a big, big city. London and Paris were about 10 or 20,000 people. Here was 100,000, one of the biggest cities in the world. So you would have been flying over people, markets, houses, all wooden structures or bamboo, stuff that's gone and just left the remains of about just over 2,000 temples. So if you can imagine flying over a bustling city back in that time, it's amazing. Try and picture that.
Getting a perspective on this from above is something our pilot, Mike, does on a daily basis.
For a ballooning point of view, it's not just the scenery, but also here, the winds are amazing. We can't steer the balloon, we just find different layers of winds at different heights. Here there just seems to be so many different layers. Most of the pilots I know don't know another place like this.
After a long, slow, peaceful drift over this landscape, Mike, our balloon pilot, begins the descent and sets a course for the wide open dry riverbank, our landing zone. Taking a balloon flight over Bagan in the early morning over the temples with the sun rising is just poetic. Boats are already beginning to traffic the wide expanse of the Irrawaddy River, the largest and most important river in Myanmar. With its headwaters in the Himalayan glaciers, its course runs over 2,000 kilometers before opening into the Andaman Sea, and the town of Old Bagan is situated on its banks. The arts in particular were fostered here, and so we journeyed to the Myanmar village on the outskirts of Old Bagan to learn more about one of these traditions still being kept alive today. the famous lacquerware of Old Bagan.
My name is Myanmar. I was born in this village in Bagan. This place is famous for the quality products. This tradition is one of the very old tradition of the Bagan. I learned just at home generation by generation, about 7 generations.
Lacquer comes from the sap of the varnish tree that grows wild in northern Myanmar.
Originally, the lacquer is very thick. We just need to heat it up, and then we can apply the lacquer. When we apply, we always use our hand because the lacquer is so sticky. Another reason is if there is something inside the lacquer, the finger can feel it. We can pick it up and we can throw it away easily.
Bamboo is woven to create objects of many different shapes and sizes. Rectangular wooden items and smaller flexible items made of horsehair are also produced here.
They're very flexible.
The men specialize in applying the lacquer, and the women, with skillful fingers and patience, in creating the designs. Many years of daily practice are required to master and memorize a full range of motifs, and a large lacquer piece may take over a year to create. It's labor-intensive, highly skilled work, yet Mang Ang Mien is dedicated to it.
I'm not interested in other business because I love this art. I would like to keep our tradition as long as we can.
Depictions of lacquerware can be found on the temple murals indicating that it was already in use in the 11th century. We want to get up close and explore some of the 3,800 temples, stupas, and monasteries still existing today. And one of the best ways to do this is by motorcycle.
We've been told that it's really important you take off your shoes and socks as a way of showing respect and keeping everything very nice on the inside, and then you can go in and have a look.
Entering the tomb-like cool air of the inner chamber, sounds of the outside world are muted and a peaceful solitude prevails, watched over through the ages by a towering statue of the Buddha. These days, local farmers graze their herds through the temple complex, which once had been plazas, full of city life. Restoration efforts are underway, as time has not always been kind to these once revered shrines and temples ravaged by earthquakes, weather, and human activities. Still, what remains is awe-inspiring by its sheer scope and artistry. Bagan Kingdom was Burma's first real empire, and it was integral to the flourishing of Theravada Buddhism in the region, which remains the predominant religion in Myanmar today.
What can I say? I mean, it's just incredible here. When you first show up, it just feels like this kind of dusty little town in western Myanmar, but the more you start looking around, the more you start understanding the history of the place, it sinks in. And now, like we do every time, we're gonna leave and head out into the wilderness. But it's just gonna be tough to say goodbye to Bagan.
As the parade of soft sunset colors wash over this enchanting scene, our sense of excitement grows for our upcoming adventure. From Bagan, we now cross the Irrawaddy River and drive 5 hours west along the rough roads to Mindat, high in the hills of Chin State. From there, a motorcycle ride will take us to the trailhead, where we will begin our trek on foot, making our way up and down the forested hills and valleys from village to village, visiting these communities and experiencing their way of life before returning to Mindat. After a long and winding car ride, we arrived at the hilltop town of Mindat in Chin State, and we're glad to get out of the car.
Just arrived here in Mindat, which is a couple hours drive west of Bagan in the mountains. And tomorrow we're gonna jump on a motorcycle and head out to a village, starting our big trek through these mountains. You know, the minority peoples out here in Western Myanmar, they are still living very traditional ways of life out in the villages, and we're gonna be trekking village to village, staying with local families and understanding some of these traditions. And I can't wait to get started because Mindat is lovely, but it is a jumping off town and it's time to jump. I haven't had breakfast yet either. Okay, here on our adventure in Myanmar, where we're going to be walking from village to village. But in order to get kind of into the more remote areas first, we're going to be on the backs of these motorcycles. So the guys are just packing up the bags, and we'll be heading out very soon.
In Mindat, we also meet our guide who will lead us on our trek through the Chin Hills.
The plan, we are going to the village. We drive by motorbike about 2 hours.
Are you ready?
Yes, ready now.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So we're off.
The tar seal leading out of Mindat soon gives way to a dirt road which snakes along the hillsides, crossing ridges and bridging rivers. Chin State is home to a mountainous geography, and the villages we will be visiting are scattered on these hillsides. Through this landscape, transport connections are often nothing more than a network of motorcycle trails and walking paths. Eventually, the houses of Na Shuang village come into view, and my driver signals that this is our destination, and we dismount, not knowing exactly what we'll find here.
So we left Mindat this morning on the backs of motorcycles and headed out into the mountains of Myanmar, and eventually making it here to Nu Shao, where we're staying for the night. And then the day got kind of crazy. Right when we arrived, they're like, you guys have to come for the sacrifice. And we're like, what sacrifice? We had no idea what we were really in for. When we got there, people were drinking, people were eating, people were smoking. It kind of felt like the whole village was out.
Young and old alike have turned out for this event, and it seems to bring the whole village together.
Finally made it here to Nu Shao village, and they're having a small festival. And they're making a small offering to the spirits. Right now they've killed a chicken, they're eating that, and they're going to be killing another animal and offering it to get rid of evil spirits. We've never really seen anything quite like this.
Human societies have long sought ways to understand and connect the causal forces which determine events. Some explanations are that spirits from beyond the physical realm influence the physical world, and so communication with this spirit realm is seen as a way to influence worldly events. The man crouched on the ground before the fire is the village shaman, said to be gifted in communicating with the spirit realm. We watch as he performs a divination ritual. Glowing ember tips of wooden sticks are pressed against the eggshells. Marks and cracks appear on the shell's surface, which are then interpreted. The shaman explains he's predicting the health and wealth for the family who is hosting the celebration. While decorations are still being prepared, some drinks are being passed around, and one man serves as the mix master, and he invites me to join and have a drink.
I'm in the hottest spot in the whole village right now because the man next to me is doling out the millet wine that they make from the wheat and the barley that they grow up here in the mountains. And this is a really busy station because everyone's enjoying their drink on the festival day. And they've got this green horn from one of the bulls that they've slaughtered in the past. So now I get to drink out of the green horn. This alcohol is really lovely. You know, a lot of times when you come into small remote villages in the hills, you get this really harsh, nasty alcohol that just burns all the way down, like 40%, 50% alcohol, 70% alcohol. But this is actually really gentle. This is a sipping kind of celebratory beverage.
Looking around, we see many women with facial tattoos. Once common practice in the Chin Hills, government policies since the mid-1960s has sought to suppress these practices. These women wear the designs of the Mun tribe with their celestial connection. The lines on the chin and nose representing sun rays, the semicircles on the cheeks representing the moon, and the dots for the stars. Though painful and sometimes dangerous to receive, tattoos are said to bestow spiritual protection and are often a source of pride for the wearer. Now, less common in the younger generation, the women often coat their cheeks in sandalwood powder, as is common practice in Myanmar.
Oh, wow. Apparently this is loaded. So I'm not supposed to play with it. The people here in Myanmar are really proud of their hunting. And they hunt with bows and arrows, and they also hunt with really like handmade rifles like this. And you'll see skulls of various animals on all the fronts of the homes.
We learn that there will be an animal sacrifice today, but we don't know just how this will take place. Several men complete the decorations on the spirit posts, which form the backdrop to this sacrificial area, and the weapons leaned up beside them hint at what's to come. Suddenly a cry rings out.
Okay, this is it.
And there's urgent excitement.
It's huge. It's like a yak. If this comes down, just run.
Restraining the bull with just rope is a precarious task, and teams work together to move the bull towards the spirit post area. Children are ushered away, and the atmosphere is charged with a much greater intensity. Another burst of excitement turns our heads as yet another bull is led down to the sacrificial area. It's a chaotic scene. These bulls are prized possessions, and their sacrifice is an indication of the value that these people place in this offering. And at times it seems like such an incongruous scene, with handmade rifles one moment and cell phone pictures the next. Pusar tells us we're fortunate to come across this ceremony, as such a large sacrifice is a rare event, reserved for special occasions. Ceremonial wine is brought forth. It's sprayed from the mouth over the bull's head as an incantation is offered. Before slapping the bull's head with a bamboo baton, a second family member does the same.
We have the bulls down here, and these are the animals that they're going to sacrifice, and now I'm being offered some alcohol. Is this the same alcohol as before?
They insist that I drink from each gourd.
So look, the bulls are now down here and tied up. The atmosphere has totally changed. There's no more food kicking around, the kids aren't all running around. Now something's going to happen.
Costumes are donned, photos are taken to mark the occasion. And a small chick is sacrificed with incantations before being wrapped in leaves as an offering and motioned towards the bulls as if dedicated to them. A hair from each bull's head is daringly plucked, each action of ceremonial significance, before a man with a bow and arrow steps forward to begin the slaughter. With gunshot, one bull is sacrificed, and then the other. For the villagers, things have gone smoothly, and there will be a hearty meal to follow.
I don't really know how to describe what I just saw. It was intense, for me at least. I don't know, the villagers seemed like it's pretty much normal. And yeah, I mean, first time I've seen it, I'm like speechless. And you know, you come into local villages, everyone's doing their local traditions, they have their local cultures. But I've never heard, you know, a cannon gun like that before, and I've never quite seen this ritual before. So all very fresh and very new. I'm still trying to just process it all.
I was asked to join in throwing salt over the bulls, used as an offering to ensure that in the future, they'll also be able to make sacrifices. And then the butchers get to work. The carcasses are open, and the head and hides and entrails are removed.
So now the butchers have gone to work on the bull. They'll use every part of this bull, and it's enough meat for the whole village for probably like a week or even longer. This feels really ancient and really tribal, something that these people have been doing for probably thousands of years. And it's amazing to be here, but it's also unbelievably difficult to watch for a city boy like me. This is a lot to take in for one day.
The yard is a hive of activity as everyone pitches in to prepare the meat. Valuable food, precious protein, one family's wealth shared amongst the whole village. The bulls' heads are mounted on altar posts, which are described to us as spirit posts. Each post represents one animal.
Here's what's left of the 2 bulls that were sacrificed today, and it's been really intense. You know, you come into a village like this and you witness a lot of these local customs and traditions, and it can be quite difficult for an outsider. We definitely witnessed something pretty intense. Now it's just time to sit back and let the people do the cooking, and then eventually we'll get to taste a little of the meat from these bulls, and that'll be the end of our day.
Before long, the main dishes are already laid out to be eaten. Food parcels are handed out individually. Ceremonial words accompany the gift of food that's given. Social bonds seem strengthened as the ceremony is a time for all of them to come together. But there's still so much I don't understand. What is this spirit realm, and why the need for these sacrifices? Soon the sound of gongs being played from inside one of the houses draws us in. The men sit in a circle, each playing their part in the orchestra. Even an impromptu dance performance. There's a festive spirit to it all. And as the daylight outside fades, so ends our first day in the Chin Hills. Waking the next morning, the events of the day before still play vividly in my mind. Farewelling our hosts, the trail offers a welcome chance to move out into this unfamiliar country. Slow descents end in crossing small watercourses before climbing back up the other side, in this country where the land never lies flat for long.
So today we're just trekking from one village to another?
Yes.
And in the summer this is like jungle because of the rain.
Yeah, jungle, landslide here in the rainy season.
Right.
So much difficult to walk, for the villagers.
But now it's the dry season.
Yeah, dry season is dry. The ground is dry.
No problem.
No problem, the villagers.
All right, I'll follow you.
Okay.
Despite Myanmar being home to the largest tropical rainforest in Southeast Asia, it's also been the site of mass deforestation. In Chin State alone, almost 10% of primary tree cover has been removed since the year 2000. As hardwoods, especially teak, are sought after to feed ever-growing world demand, landslides and erosion are one deadly result. And despite a 2014 government ban, some illegal logging operations still continue. Suddenly, a sharp signal from Pusar, and we're all on high alert.
It's a poisonous snake. We're just here on the trail, and we just came across a snake. We were watching it, it was watching us, and we kind of passed by very carefully, and then it started kind of following us.
Don't do that.
Oh, he's moving. I've got the stick ready to come down if
Oh,
that's a cobra.
Yes, cobra. Holy shit. Very much poisonous.
Very much poisonous.
Cobras have been known to attack, and a local boy we met on the trail and Pusar armed themselves with stones.
We didn't know what to do, so our guide, he was throwing rocks at it to try to get it to run the other direction.
Let's go.
And I think it's gone, but it was a cobra because when that first rock kind of bounced near it, it sprung up and its kind of skin fanned out like a cobra. And that's scary because I didn't know cobras were here, and we need to be careful of that in the future. But, whew, scary first day on the trail.
We continue on, eyes peeled, awakened to the hillside and the life that lives here.
This is us. We're in western Myanmar in Chin State, and we're trekking. And this is basically what the trail looks like. It's just a single footpath through the hills, village to village. And it's nice and cool in the morning, and then it warms up in the afternoon. And it's dry season, so you can see all the different grays and browns. But in the summer, in the wet season, all this would just be green and lush. So we did pick a good time to come around. And I'm loving the walking so far. As we make our way along this trail, we're seeing a lot of pretty interesting things, including this. And what they got is the skull from an animal, and on a stick right next to a field. And it looks like maybe they were using this skull and this animal as like an offering to the evil spirits to get like a good crop, or like a healthy crop, or a fruitful season of farming. And so far we've seen quite a lot of these like little markings or little offerings along the trail, especially when we get near farmland. So, you know, the people here are definitely into sacrificing animals in return for good favor.
Of course, none of these animals go to waste. It's more that these slaughters have a devotional purpose, over and beyond the next meal they provide.
Behind me to the right is like a little altar, and they make these out of stone after the bull sacrifices, as a way of showing the bulls some respect. And you'll find these kind of dotted along the trail in various places, normally near the villages where they do the sacrifices. So as we near a village, you start to see some of these little, I guess they're like shrines or memorials or tombstones, although there's nothing written on them, but they're there. I'm starting to really get a feel for this part of Myanmar and the kind of spirituality that exists here and the strong connection with nature.
Soon we arrive at a small cluster of houses and find two young men at work fashioning metal. Living in a region which is far from urban centers, self-sufficiency is key. Not just growing, gathering, and hunting food, but also preparing the tools needed to do so.
So on the trail, we're stopping through some of these little villages, and behind me, these two young men are actually making bullets. So they seem to cut or prepare the bullets from some small metal and some rock. On the right side, you can see the raw materials, which the bullets start out as. And they hammer them into small little pellets, which fit into their guns, because hunting in this part of Myanmar in Chin State is still very much a big deal. So they're preparing their bullets for perhaps a hunt later today.
While the guys take a break, I thought I might try my hand and help them out a little.
Yeah. Not bad for my first try.
We soon wish them luck and head off, as a dry wind ushers in the warmth of the afternoon. Hill-cast shadows lengthen, and after some hours we arrive at our village for the evening. A good chance to sit down and talk with my guide, Pusar.
So how are you enjoying our visit and travels through the Chin State? We're not walking too slowly?
Yeah, you are.
Very good. You're much more strong. You're walking much faster.
Yeah, maybe because I'm used to, trekking here.
Yeah.
I've been trekking here more than 4 months already in Chin State now.
Okay.
That's why my feet is okay.
Your feet are strong.
Strong.
That's good. But you like it out here, right?
Yeah, I like very much to the mountain.
Yeah.
The nature.
Nature is special.
Yes. They have very nice, landscape. A lot of animals are still here in Chin State.
And even cobras.
Yes, cobras, as we saw on the way.
That was scary, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Have you seen a cobra before?
This is the second time I saw in Chin State cobra.
Okay.
Last year also I saw one snake.
So tell me a little bit about this sacrifice or this festival that we had. And have you ever seen a sacrifice of 2 bulls like that?
No, that was the first time I see in Chin State.
That was crazy.
Yes, it's hard to see. They do not celebrate. The whole year.
Yeah, I've had the chance to travel around, but the people here in Chin State, they have a lot of hospitality.
As the people here are very much friendly, as you say, very much hospitable. Their food is very much good.
Shall we go get some dinner?
Okay.
Okay.
We dine and then are shown where we will sleep tonight, which for me is a novelty.
The guest house in this village is a monastery. So you can see behind me, there are some Buddhas, statues, and the lady has invited us to sleep. So we'll just sleep on the floor tonight and wait out the wind because it's quite windy today. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll be back on the trail for more exploring in the Chin Hills in western Myanmar.
The woman who runs this monastery where we slept last night, she just came out and handed me a little bag of guava fruit. So that was very sweet of her. So today while I'm walking, I'll have something to nibble on. The people here are just so genuine and so sweet, and I just think it's because they just, I don't know if it's the mix of religion or the fact that there's like no tourists out here, but everyone here just has big smiles and it's really, really welcoming. And I'm loving every day of it.
Outside, people are getting into their day's work. Young men heading off hunting and fishing. The morning sounds from the village echoing over the hillsides. We follow their lead and set foot on our way, deeper into the Chin Hills. Trails lead us down to rivers and we cross a number of bridges. The steep Chin Hills make for difficult farmland. And even during the dry season, rivers provide a vital source of protein, fish.
So we're on the trail and we just came across these local villagers, and what they're doing is they're actually moving rocks and trying to clear one part of the river while blocking other parts of the river, trying to divert the fish kind of into one channel, which will make it easier for them to do their fishing. And it's pretty cool to see. These 3 guys are in there, shirts off, in shorts, freezing cold water. And even I think their mother was in there. She looked quite old, face tattoos and everything. She was in there trying to lift rocks as well. The people in these villages, they live off the land, they live off the rivers, and they work really hard. And it's not an easy life out here in the Chin Hills.
The physicality of this way of life belies the shorter stature of many of these people. Their food doesn't just come to them, and to remain fit and healthy is essential for being able to eat well. We wish them luck, cross another bridge, and head out and up onto the surrounding hillsides, scattered intermittently with small huts.
This morning we started walking through the hills again, and we've come through another small village, and they have a Christian church. So it's like one village is Christian, one village is Buddhist, one village is Christian, and that's kind of what we're starting to see here in the Chin Hills.
In front of the church, crops are spread out on trays, drying in the sun.
In the Chin State, one of their main cash crops is actually this, and it's called elephant foot yam.
and they harvest it and sell it. And this is how most people around here make their money. And apparently it has like an anti-diabetic power. And so these actually grow underground, and they look, I don't know, they kind of just look like a big potato. And then what happens is they pull them out, they slice them, and this is what they slice them into. And you can see the skin on the side cut into many small pieces. And it's called an elephant foot because when it's white like this and gray on the outside, it actually looks like an elephant foot pad on the bottom of an elephant foot. And that's how people around here get their income.
The main agriculture here is the elephant food. At the former time, their life was so much poor, difficulties, destitute.
Yep.
Now much better than before because they make, some business from the elephant food.
Right. And now they have the motorcycles and the scooters to bring the stuff to market and get it out.
Yes.
Chin State is said to be the poorest state in Myanmar, with more than 70% of the people living below the poverty line. Infrastructure is sparse, yet roads are being built and upgraded to serve the region. We just came off our small trail onto this, and this is what progress looks like in the Chin Hills. This is the government's building a new road. They've got a big digger here, and this is going to be a paved road at some stage in the very near future. And that's going to allow new building materials to come in and the local farmers to get their wares out into the markets cheaper probably. And this whole area is just going to be connected by paved roads. And that's progress for the local people. Something will be lost, that's true, but a lot will be gained. But we're seeing quite a lot of these roads being built on our journey here. There are few feelings better than arriving to a town or a village at the end of a long day's walk, where people are relaxing after a day's work and appetizing smells are wafting out of the houses.
Coming into a town like this at the end of the day is absolutely my favorite part of trekking. As the sun starts to set, and usually you get to see quite a few people. All of these villages are all just perched up on the tops of these mountains, and it's just really lovely. And I'm really glad we're here visiting the Chin Hills right now, because I feel like we're just kind of capturing this way of life before the new dawn.
The new day sun stretches itself over this hilltop hamlet, through the wood smoke of breakfast fires and over the rooftops. It's our second to last day on the trail, and Pusar and I waved goodbye to our hosts. We make our way up along the dusty main road of the village to find our trail for the day.
In the morning, it's really nice to walk.
A little bit cold.
Yeah, because of high elevation here, it's cold here, and last time when we came here, freezing.
Walking conditions are ideal, but the chat on the trail soon dies out as we need to conserve our breath for the hillsides. The Chin Hills are the real deal. Steep inclines and steep declines. And Pusar is way up ahead of me, and I'm just trying to catch him. The man is fit. As we climb higher, the trees thin out, opening to a grassy ridgeline, giving us views out into the surrounding countryside. The trekking is actually really nice here. 1 second you're kind of on a motorcycle path, which is a little wider. Maybe you'll get some motorcycle traffic, and then you dip off that and you're climbing again up into the hills on the hunters' trails. And this is an example of that, where we're just kind of closed in on a single lane track, and this is what the hunters use when they're going off to hunt or when they're trekking village to village. There's shortcuts because it's too steep for the motorcycles. And these motorcycle guys, they bring everything into the villages and everything out. They bring in supplies like gasoline and diesel and solar power generators and some food, and then they bring out their elephant foot yam and any other goods that have to go up and out to the markets.
In Chinstay, just the mountains are here, so the motorbike driver has to be very good, driver. Even the ladies also are driving here.
We just came into this little village and we found some more elephant feet yam. And here it's called wa'u. Yes. And I made some friends. All motorcycle trails lead to villages, and we find this one alive with production activities. Weaving and sun-drying grains and crops. These activities meet most of the daily needs of life here. On the main street, we spied some familiar-looking large clay containers, and we learned that this is the home of the local winemaker, a friend of Pusar's. After a walk on the trail, a drink sounds good, and she welcomes us in. Adjusting to the dim light inside, my eyes roam over the handmade household objects arranged around the uncluttered interior of her home as she begins to prepare the brew. So she's just adding some hot water, and inside's actually just the fermented millet. Sometimes when we go to small villages, they already have like wine in like gas cans, but this I've never seen before. Okay, so now it looks like she's stuffing in some banana leaf. And she drives a hollow piece of bamboo into the banana leaf. She samples the mixed first, and then adjusts the brew with a little water. And then it's my turn to have a taste. Wow. Actually, that tastes pretty good. It does taste like a little bit like wine. She's adding more cold water now. Yeah, it tastes very fruity. She's going back for some more. Oh.
She said nothing, otherwise she's going to get drunk.
Oh, really? And she just walked off, and now she's getting everyone ready for dinner. And she left this whole thing to me. So I guess I've got my work cut out for me this evening. That is pretty awesome. Warmed from the wine, we say our farewells, and then we continue to the house of another friend of Pusar's, where we've been invited for dinner. There's nothing quite like homegrown food cooked over a wood fire. Appetizing smells fill the room as more and more dishes arrive on the table. And I'm thankful for Pusar's connections that have opened these doors to us. What do we have to eat tonight?
We have rice,
Rice,
meat,
white and beef.
Cauliflower,
Okay.
and mustard leaf.
And this looks like
Beans.
beans, peppers, and carrots.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a feast.
Yes.
And all this is from the local village where we're staying now?
Yes,
That's
we
amazing.
have chili over there,
Okay.
if you are interested.
All right, let's dig in. So good. So fresh. We were sitting around having some food, relaxing like we do at the end of every day. I just remember there was just this silence. And then I could hear singing. And I was like, oh my God, what's that? And we followed the singing and we ran over to this house. And it turned out that there were 6 or 8 young women, and they were all singing and dancing. Some of the women from the village that we're staying in tonight are practicing for a church service, which they're going to have for a festival in a few weeks' time. And they just started practicing this evening, and they're practicing every night a few different songs. And all their kids are just sitting here watching them practice. Absolutely beautiful. Last morning, another beautiful day greets us. Our time here in the Chin Hills is coming to an end. Waking up, my body reminds me of the impression this landscape has made upon me. But even more memorable is the imprint of the people we've met here. The kindness and genuine welcome that we've received from them. That lives being lived in so many ways different from my own, and in so many ways similar. And as we head out onto the trail for the last stretch of our walk, their faces stay with me, and I'm reminded of all the experiences we've had during our time here.
I don't know why more people aren't talking about this part of the world. Maybe it's just because it's kind of hard to get to. It's just been such a great experience. Again, the smiles, I mean, it only tells half the story. The hospitality just makes you feel welcome at every moment.
Throughout our journey, Pusar has been such great company, and I'm so thankful for his good humor and cheer as he's guided me through these hills and the life they hold. And as the road comes into view with our ride back to Mindat waiting for us, I know I'm going to miss this time we've spent together here in the Chin Hills.